Hey, friends.
Hello, hello, hello.
Welcome to our first episode of the Soulful Stir. I am Diamond Simone.
And I am your girl, Tosh.
This has been a long time coming, don't you think so?
It's about time. We've been talking about this for a long time now. Life has been happening, but
Yes, it
we got to
has.
it. We got to it, and it's gonna be a great ride.
I agree. I'm excited to see where this goes and how receptive people are going to be to hearing us on the pod and sharing our ideas and just life experiences in general. I think that we have a lot to offer.
Yeah, the reception has been good so far. Like just based on the reaction to the post and the fillers that we've put out, I think people have been anticipating at least something like this for me for a long time, just based on my presence on social media. So I think it was about time. Like, I think we really needed to do this, um, and the culture needs us.
I think so too. Do you feel like we're like the duo that people didn't know they needed?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think it's good for me personally to kind of put this pod out because I think people often have this reception of me, especially in my career or just in general, that I am like not a multi-dimensional person.
Mm-hmm.
And I have so many different sides of me, not only just in general, but they often sometimes conflict with each other. So I think this will be good to
Mm,
like open up dialogue, serious and unserious dialogue, so other
right.
people can kind of see themselves in us. Because duality is important, and I think people need to know that it's okay to like one thing and something else at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is good. We're going to create a safe space for people, not just women, not just black women, even though that's what our
Mm-hmm.
focus is. But I think for people to kind of do the work and understand themselves, and then also learn that they could take a break and take it easy, and life doesn't have to always be so serious.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you for that dynamic introduction to our podcast, Tosh. I agree with everything that you've said. And I think what's interesting, like you mentioned, that people don't look at you as being multidimensional. I think it's kind of the opposite for me. Like, I think that somebody, it could go either like one or two ways for me. Either people have no idea what I do and they just make assumptions, or people know all of the things that I do, or some of the things that make me multidimensional. And I've been blessed to meet people that have poured into me because they see that I'm a person that just believes in really dwelling in my passions and things that I'm passionate about and creating a life that is organic to me. And I was just talking to one of my friends this morning. I was telling her that, like, at this big age, this is like the most authentic I felt, the most organic I felt, as far as like me just being able to operate in my truth, be in the professional spaces that I prefer to be in, and just really dabble in the different things that I love to do and make a living from it. And I had to kick back one day and realize, like, wow, I'm really living some answered prayers right now, which is crazy.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, especially women, often see aging as like a curse. Where I've always looked at aging as like a blessing. You know, not only are we
Mm-hmm.
still here, but I remember being like in my mid 20s saying like I can't wait to be 30 because at 30 you just I felt like you got a new level of like fuck it. And it came, but now that I'm closer to 40, I'm excited to be 40 cuz I'm like now when I become 40, I can really just be myself. And I think I don't know if other people see it that way, but I've always enjoyed the company of like seniors and elders, men and women, because
Mm-hmm.
they just usually have this childlike air about them where they just say anything, do anything, they're funny, but they have so much wisdom. And I'm at a point in my life where I'm ready to walk in that role for myself. Like, I like being the person that, everybody can come to get advice, but I like being the person that's silly and that could come, like you could come to, and just be yourself. And I think that comes with age, because you start to let go of like, what do other people think about me? And you start to live for yourself, because I think the more you age, the more you start to realize that like any day could be my last. So you start to take you stop taking the present and the future for granted, and you just start living for yourself. But that comes with age, because I remember being younger and getting dressed for the day was like, well, what are people going to say about me when I go on campus if I wear this and different stuff? And now I'm like, listen, I don't care what nobody say. I'm running to the store. I
That's
look
so
a certain
interesting.
way,
You say
like
that.
I don't care, because I know what I've gone through in my life. I know what I've accomplished, and nobody can make me feel less than because I've chosen to put on something that I feel like reflects me. And I think that's a big thing that we don't understand, or that we're not taught as young women.
I think that's really interesting because early on, like especially in college, I think in college I really started to like not give a fuck about what nobody thought. So it's your perspective on how you will be so conscious. Mine was a bit of the opposite. Like my experience, I think is when I was in college, I really started to explore with like my hair and making a decision to go natural and not put any chemicals in my hair. And so my hair looked completely different from what I was used to or what people were used to seeing me with. And I just didn't care. I like experimented with colors and patterns and the ways that I dressed and what I decided to put on. I think that the way that I dress now, like I really like a nice cozy get up. I have like a little bit of a tomboy flair to the way that I dress. But I dress for me. Like I wear what's comfortable and what I think looks cool, and I feel like I've been like that since college. I definitely think that when I was younger, I had more of an eye on or care about what people thought. But as I got older, I started to feel like that a little bit early on. It's interesting, like you have that perspective on aging too, because I felt that I was gonna cry when I turned 30. When I was thinking like in my early 20s, I was just like, oh my God, when I turn 30, like, what am I going to do? And you have these expectations of how your life is supposed to go. I did cry when I turned 30, but that was for a completely different reason. But I thought that I was going to cry, like, just because I was, aging, and people make it seem like a bad thing. Like you said, they kind of put you in that mindset of like, all right, you're 30. What are you going to do? It's time for you to stop playing around like with
Yeah.
your life. Like I don't know, I just feel like it was such a serious age like for me to get to that. I'm like, shit, I'm 30, I'm turning 30, or what am I gonna do? The world's gonna end.
So it's funny that you say that, like, and I can say this because I know your family, well, at least your mom, enough to kind of like, and I think we should put a pin in this and come back to it in another conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But like, when I'm thinking of your thoughts on aging, and just like even how you talked about your thought process about your hair and your wardrobe in college, I think that a lot of that goes back to familial conditioning. And I think we should have another conversation about that on another episode, because it will be
We
a
should.
long episode, because I think a lot of that, and I say that to like say, what I know about your mom is that at any given time, if you came home and was like, oh, this is what I want to do, she would support you. And so I think
Was
that,
she?
but you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that has a
Was
lot to do
she?
with it, versus like, my mom was super young when she had me. So I think everything she tried to do was like keep us from not going down the road she did. And my
Mm.
mom's parents are super conservative. Well, at least my grandmother is. My dad's father was super conservative. My grandmother passed when I was young, my paternal grandmother, so she didn't have a lot of influence on my growing up because she wasn't here. But I think a lot of that is why I felt like the getting older releases you, because when I was younger, it was so much of like, we keeping these reins on you because we got to make sure, you know what I'm saying? And I don't think I came up in like I didn't come up in a strict household at all because my mom was a young mom. So she kind of let me explore things that her mom didn't because she knew the effects of having a stricter parent. But like I said, that's a different conversation. But I think a lot of that also goes into how we look at aging and how we feel about ourselves, like at our most key times in life, which would be young adulthood and adolescence. And then especially as women, once you're transitioning, I think that 35 to 45 like year old mark is really crucial for Black women, especially of our age group, because it's that like, have you had kids yet? You ain't had kids yet. What are you gonna do? Like, it's so much to unpack with the aging, but a lot of that begins with our families and how we're conditioning our families and the way people, our ancestors and even our relatives that are still here, they kind of like put this, I don't want to say like a requirement, but they kind of like hang this over your head, like, you know, we're supposed to be a certain way or you're supposed to be a certain way, and you either try to fit into that or you try to rebel
Or
against
you
it.
get buck wild.
Yep, it's
We know
either one.
plenty of friends that's done got buck wild when they went to college, or shoot, even before then.
Yes.
Just out of rebellion. I can definitely say, like, my mom, there was, you weren't just about to do whatever you wanted to do. That was like out of the cards, right? But I do think that she did a good job of steering us, you know, without such a tight grip. You know, she was always a parent that preferred for us to be open with her about what was going on in our personal lives and, you know, our interests, things like that. And it helped us to get to know each other a bit better as well, as a parent, but then also, you know, having a friend component, not too much though, you know.
Oh yeah, because I'm not one of your little
Right,
friends.
she was never one of my little friends. She made that very clear. Like, I'm not one of your little friends, but, you know, she tried to really make us feel comfortable with coming to talk to her and instilling that trust in us, and, you know, vice versa. So I definitely feel like she has supported me throughout the years. But she does have questions sometimes. Like, she'll ask, if I come in with like an idea, well, how is this gonna work? Well, have you thought about this? Where, you know, and it helps me too to kind of figure out or think about the particulars that I would not have thought about if I hadn't talked to her.
Girl, my mama shut down everything I do, but
Oh my God.
and I say that, and I know she gonna hear this and be like, no, I don't, and she not even gonna listen to the but. You know, my mama shut down everything I do, comma, but like, so essentially, I don't want to say that she shuts me down in a non-supportive way. My mom just feels like, I think she believes I overextend myself. So she will shut me down in a way like, girl, you already doing too much. And I'm like, no, but for real, this is what I want to do. But as soon as I put it out there, she gonna support it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so she'll shut it down, but I don't think in a way that she doesn't believe in me or she doesn't think it's gonna work. She just be like, girl, you're doing too much. Like, I literally told my mom a few days ago that I was trying to go back to school. And I keep telling people that. And people are like, you got 17 billion degrees. Why do you want to go back to school? But I'm bored. Like, I literally love to learn. And every time I tell her that, she just laugh at me. But if I go back to school today, she'd be trying to send me stuff I need for school. Like, she would help, but she would think I'm absolutely insane.
That's interesting too. I feel like that's another topic we should put a pin in, because it's the conversation about Black women and how we get bored. We tend to get bored in our lives, and we decide to go back and educate ourselves further and really expand our careers. And I think that's interesting because there's a lot of layers to that, so we should put a pin in that. But I do want to ask, what's some good news that you've had happen, and what did you do this weekend?
Oh, so I mean, the easier portion, I think this weekend, absolutely nothing. Yesterday I hung out with my cousins. We went to the mall, and that was really about it. I honestly, I like to take it easy on the weekends because I'm one of those people. I'm antisocial, you know, socially antisocial. So I don't like to do a lot of like commercial type stuff on the weekend, like grocery shopping, going to the mall, that kind of stuff, because it's just always too packed. And today I just been, you know, trying to fight to get this pod started, because
Right.
we had some equipment difficulties.
God,
but
that was a fight.
I think as far as my weekend goes, that's it. I don't know. Like I'm trying to think of what's good this week. Like I don't I don't know because I will say that this week I've been telling people all week that this week has been health week for me because at work it's been crazy. Like I got hit with so many curveballs that I was not expecting with some cases that I'm working. So that was a little difficult. Um but on a more serious note, I will say that I am glad, I'm blessed, and I'm thankful that my youngest nephew battles with sickle cell and MS, and he was recently hospitalized. And we did not think he was gonna make it, but he's doing better. He's had to have some like unexpected surgery, so that has been really good. I will say that has given me a lot of rest and
That's
respite to
great
know that he's
news.
home. Well, not home, but he's out of ICU. We can text and all that good stuff. He wasn't able to eat for a while, and I was able to send him food yesterday that he was able to eat. So that is the good news. So that's the good news that my nephew is doing better. He's not quite home yet, but he's doing better. So that's one thing I can hang my hat on this week to say that, you know, everything wasn't bad. And I will say even the stuff at work wasn't bad. It just was kind of unexpected. Like since I've transitioned to a different level of practice, like right when I got out of school, I was completely busy at work all the time. But since I've transitioned to a different level of practice, I've kind of gotten used to my days being really easy at work. So sometimes when stuff just happen off my plan, which that's the Capricorn in me, like we have stuff planned so tight when it don't work out, we get a little frustrated.
You gotta
So
loosen the grip.
yeah, I'm trying to, but I'm also got a Taurus moon, so it's the earth. The
Ooh.
earth is so tight over here. If it don't work out,
It's strict around
yeah,
here.
like I kind of freak out a little bit, but everything still worked out. Like so, I think that was good. What's been going on with you?
So, so glad you asked. So much. I know about curveballs being thrown at you last week. I had a very interesting run in with, I said I wasn't gonna talk about it on the pod, so maybe I'll have a I'll have a better story to report after. But it does have to do with the university and just some people or some guidelines around academic dishonesty for some people, and I'll leave it at that. I did have a really nice weekend though. It was restful overall, but I did go see Alvin Ailey, American Dance Theater yesterday, which was really cool. They were at the Detroit Opera House this weekend. I went to the earlier or the I guess the matinee show, which was cool. But I was kind of disappointed that they didn't do Revelations because that's a staple piece for Alvin Ailey, and I don't know. I was looking forward to seeing it. It's been a while since I've been to the theater to see the dance company. The last time I saw them was in Chicago. I think it was like 2017. And if I'm not mistaken, the choreographer for that show was a hip hop dancer from Philly. So it really gave a completely different element to what we're used to seeing traditionally from Alvin Ailey. And I think that was like my favorite show thus far. Even seeing the show yesterday, for me, it didn't top the one that I saw in Chicago.
It's been a few years since I've seen Alvin Ailey. When I was living in Atlanta, I used to go every year because I used to take my nieces and we used to do different stuff. But it's so crazy because I can't remember any specific viewing of Alvin Ailey that I really love the most. But a little known Tosh fact here, when I was in Atlanta, I used to praise dance for my church. And we put on a African American history ensemble extravaganza
Wow.
one February during Black History Month. And yeah, we actually did like Alvin Ailey inspired pieces, and I remember those vividly, which is crazy because I've been dancing like most of my life, like off and on, and I think I remember like verbatim different choreographic pieces, like even from like high school up until now, randomly, and that's one of the pieces I do remember, and I did that like, I mean, that had to be over 10 years ago because I left Atlanta in 2015 to go to law school. So that had to be like in 2013 or 2014 or something like that.
That's muscle memory for you,
Yeah, but
though.
I remember those, like, I remember our costumes, the rehearsal. I remember everything vividly. So, yeah, I'm a fan of Alvin. I wish I would have remembered or even thought about going here in Detroit, but yeah,
We can
that's
go
just,
next time because I'm planning on going next year. I want to be able to like compare this past show to like the one next year. Looking forward to going, and I really want to see Revelations again. Like I was very disappointed that they didn't do it at that show, but overall it was a cool show. I really liked the piece they did. It was a duet piece. Love that piece down. Honestly, were you? I do have a question though. Like, were you a mime?
no,
Like, did you do miming?
no. I did just regular like ballet and modern dance style praise dancing. Like we wore praise dance garments, but you know, I didn't do whiteface. I wasn't miming. You know, I wasn't doing none of that. I was just, you know what I'm saying, doing a
My
little 1-2 step.
That's so scary to me. Like, I don't know why, like, miming or, like, but I don't really care for clowns like that. I don't know what it is particularly. So it kind of reminds me of that. And I think that's why it's
I can
like,
absolutely see it because, and I think that's my. I'm not gonna say I have an issue with miming, but I think that's just one of the things that I never understood, which is weird because, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think I got, you know, very. I'm not gonna say very churchy, but I'm churchy adjacent. You know what I'm saying? Like I know the culture, I'm in it, I've been in it, and all that. But I've never ever really sat down and asked anybody like, so what's up with the white face paint? You know what I'm saying? Because I can get with the whole just the expressiveness in it. Like I said, I've danced all my life. I've danced, I've cheered, I've done performance, so I can understand the expressiveness or the expressive nature in the facial expressions. And you know, you're trying to portray what's going on in this song, but I'm just trying to figure out why you gotta look like dead presidents while you doing it.
oh my God, dead presidents is funny.
But I'm saying because that's
Oh
what
my,
I
that's
think
exactly
about.
what it is.
Yes, like what?
And even that was like that was scary to me. Like especially that scene in Dead President where they popped out. Didn't they like pop out of the trash can?
They did, but that wasn't the scariest scene to me. The scariest scene to me is when Chris Tucker had that overdose.
Oh my God.
When he was
No,
over there
that
shooting
that
up.
was
Like,
scary.
I can't watch movies
That was scary for sure.
with people doing intravenous drugs. Like, it's a hard pass for me. I don't know if it's just
That's
because
a
I
whole
have
nother
a fear of
topic.
needles in real life, but like, even at this big age, like knowing what I know about drugs and like knowing people that have had issues with addiction, like I can't even watch New Jack City. Like New Jack City is a movie. When you talk about stuff that people love about this in this culture that I can't stand, I can't even watch the first 5 minutes of New Jack City because I don't want to see nobody putting their lips around no pipe. Like
wanna know
that
something?
freaks me
You
out.
want to know something, Tosh? I've never seen New Jack City.
Don't watch it. It ain't even worth
never
watching.
seen
But
it.
what's weird, let me say what's even weird about that. I can watch The Wire like it's nobody's business.
Oh yeah, I
The-
used to
it-
watch The Wire.
There was a show called The Corner. A lot of people might not know about The Corner, depending on how you grew up, but it was when we were younger. But it's weird because back to my point earlier, when I said my mama didn't keep us from nothing, like, I think she kind of overexposed us to some things just so we would know to leave them alone. But I remember when I was younger, The Corner used to come on Sunday nights. It was a 6-episode miniseries about this family that the entire family was on drugs except for the son, and he ended up doing drugs, but he was selling them majority of the time. But it was such a weird like show to watch, especially with me knowing now that like I don't like to watch people do drugs on TV. I watch that show every Sunday religiously with my mama. Like me and my mama sat in the room like, oh, The Corner about to come on. Like it was the news. Like we sat there and watched it together, and I would ask questions and she would answer them to the best of her ability. Like my mama ain't never been on drugs or nothing, so she's not aware of the culture. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like we probably would be because we hear it in music and in culture more than they did growing up. But it's like she didn't know some of the stuff, but she would answer the questions I had. But we watched The Corner, and I wouldn't budge watching The Corner. Like I love that show. Even watch The Wire, love that show. But it's something about New Jack City that like freaks me out. Like it's like a horror film.
Yeah, it's I can see it being that, like, just from the snippets that I've seen, like, the cuts that people put on social media, but I've never seen the film like all the way through. And from what I've seen, I guess I just never had an interest in like looking at that. But so much for that. I will also share like something else that was really great that I did this weekend. I started my fellowship with Mother and Justice, which is just a powerhouse of an organization based here in Detroit that's all about advocacy and community and bringing mothers, birth workers, practitioners alike all together to be or learn how to be better advocates and really influence policy, if you will. And so I met over 100 different women in this fellowship, and I'm really excited to get started and learn as much as I can about advocacy and influencing policy, but also connecting with different women and birth workers, because as some people may know, or most people may know, I'm a doula as well. So that's a huge chunk of my life that I'm very grateful to be a part of. And this is like the next step for me, I guess you can say. So that's my good news report that I'm so happy to share. My weekends are typically restful too. I really don't do too much above and be in the
Yeah.
crib for real.
Auntie like to plan her weekends. If you can't just call me on Saturday morning and be like, "Hey, girl, we going somewhere tonight," Auntie had to have like
No, that's not true, Tosh.
72 business hours notice.
No, because you definitely called me Friday and said, "You want to do dinner?" And I
Well, that's
said,
different. That's eating. I can
I
always
said,
now.
"Yeah,
Now let me
sure."
set the record straight for anybody that want to know. Auntie gonna eat any time of the day. Okay, I can eat. I'm always gonna call people at the last minute, like, "Hey, what you doing at 5 o'clock?" It could be 4:15. I'm be like, "Let's go eat." That is different. But if you want me to like get dressed, be cute, and like have my social battery, full and ready to execute, I gotta have some notice. Like I have to physically and mentally prepare myself for social interaction.
I feel you. I'm the same way because I'm definitely an introvert. Hence the reason why I tell people like I'm a bit of a recluse, but I genuinely enjoy being alone or being able to really cater my time the way that I desire when I'm not busy, because I am a very busy person. So in the time like when I'm at home, I'm probably just either catching up on reading or doing something that I should have done weeks ago, or just resting and enjoying that time to replenish myself. So I feel you, like I have to prepare myself before I go outside. I like to put things on my calendar. If it's not on my calendar, it's probably not going to happen. I can be spontaneous, right? But I feel like for the most part, I'm not like super spontaneous. I like to plan ahead so I can kind of know, okay, we're going out to a dinner. We're going to a birthday party on Saturday. Let me get my people meter up. But when my people
Listen,
meter is low, oh, I'm hitting the door. Like, I'll go around. Hey, all right, it was cool
that's
seeing
why I
y'all.
say
Bye.
that's why I like to save all my spontaneity for trips.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
People wonder why I like to travel so much, why I'm always leaving, is because when I am out of town, be it out of the city, out of the state, out of the country, I actually feel free. Like I actually feel free of obligation. I don't feel like I have anything to do. My mind is always set on like I'm a listing type of person. It's like let me check a box and say I've done some stuff. So even when I'm at home, if I really have a lot of work to do, I don't like working from home because every 5 minutes I'm gonna look around the house and be like, "Ooh, I was supposed to put these up yesterday. Let me fold these clothes. Let me do this." Like I'm never gonna fully rest unless I put myself in a position where I can do nothing but rest, which is why I like to travel because in a hotel room, at an Airbnb, at somebody else's house, I don't feel compelled to work.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
ain't got
feel
all that stuff
compelled
around
to
you.
do anything. I just want to relax. So my spontaneity is for trips. Like when I'm booking these trips at the last minute spontaneously, or even when I'm on the trips, like I don't care, let's do it. Like that's my motto on trips is let's do it. Like I don't really care. I'm always ready to go. Let's get up early. Let's explore. Let's spend money. Let's go out. Let's do something free. Let's do something cheap. It doesn't matter. When I'm on vacation, anything goes. When I'm at home is when I got all these rules and boundaries. I'm a different person once I go into the airport.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I could be a little bit type A when I'm traveling with friends. I'm the friend that like puts together the itinerary. Do I expect everybody to follow the itinerary to a T? Absolutely not, because I just feel like it's not realistic, especially, if we're hanging out late, if there's alcoholic beverages involved, that type of thing. I don't expect for everybody to follow the plans accordingly. And I just realized that everybody vacations differently. Like, sometimes people might just want to hang out in the hotel room and sleep and rest and relax, and that's fine. But I am the one, like, I would do all the research and find the restaurants and say, like,
That,
hey,
that's
here's a list of
because
good
that's because
recommendations.
y'all Deltas is about business, okay?
Oh my
My best
God.
friend is a Delta, and when I tell you we've been traveling together since we could travel, okay? Like literally since we've been able to afford to go out of the country, we've been traveling together, and I put it on my life that I don't think it's one trip that we've been on that she didn't do
She
the
didn't
labor for.
plan. Yeah.
Listen, I tell her,
Somebody's got to do
and
it.
I'm okay with that because I'll give her. She'll say, "Well, she'll ask me like, what do you want to do?" I'll give like one or two suggestions. She'll put it in there. She'll be like, "This is all the places we going," and and I will say, to be fair to her, because she doing all the work, I'd be like, how much money it costs? How much is it? I just sent her the money. Like, you ain't gotta wait on me to pay it. I'm gonna give it to you right now. Just give me the price, give me the dates. I'm there. That's it. Like,
Well,
that's all
that's
I need to know. I don't really need to know nothing else. We can figure that out when we get there. She be on TikTok. She be making Google Docs with the
yeah.
this is we gonna do this day. We got a class this day. We doing this. I be like, girl, I don't care.
What's your friend name again?
Felicia.
Felicia. Yeah,
Yes.
she and I, we need to vacation
Yeah.
together.
She listen. She
Cause
booked.
shout out
She
to
planned
Felicia.
everything.
Shout out to my soror, because
Cause
I'm the same
everything.
way. Like, I don't like, the last thing I want to do is be vacationing somewhere lovely and we're sitting down trying to figure out what we're about to eat and looking at, like, no, just look at the Google Doc. I put all of the hot recommendations in this doc. Here's where people say to go. Here's some things to do. Here's how much it costs. Like, are we color coordinating? What we doing? Like, we need to have everything planned so we're not just sitting around looking at each other, wasting valuable time. Like, that's my whole thing.
I'm all for that. Like, I'm definitely for the coordination and stuff. But what I'm saying is that ain't my wheelhouse.
Hey,
All
and
I'm
that's
saying is
okay.
if you create the plan, I'll follow it. Okay? That's
That's
all I'm
okay.
saying. If
My
you
stance will
create
tell you
it,
too.
I'll
Anybody
follow
I've
it.
traveled with.
I'm so non-confrontational when it comes to traveling. I just be so glad to be gone that I don't care what I do. Like, not saying that I don't want to sit, but what I will say this. When it does come to stuff like that, I'm flexible. Now, it's not this. I'm not gonna. I don't think me and Felicia have ever had this experience before because it's usually just the two of us. But like sometimes when I go out, like for example, when I went to Thailand, when I found out that my other nephew passed while I was there, my cousin and our friends, they were like going out to the club one night, and I was like, I'm just gonna kick it back in the room. Like, I'm okay with like figuring stuff out on my own, or like staying back while y'all do stuff if I want to rest. Like, if I want to go to sleep and everybody else want to go out, they don't have to stay in the room with me because I'm grown. Like, I could sleep by myself like I do it at home. Like, it's cool. I'm not one of those people, and I think that's where those issues come in, where people be like, well, we fell out on the girls trip, is because everybody's not on the same page. But like, I don't really, and I think it's because I was my mom's only child for so long before my brother was born. Like, we literally got more than a decade between us. I can self-soothe. Like, I'm totally okay with just doing stuff on my own, and it doesn't bother me. So I think that it's okay for me because I don't have high expectations when it comes to certain things. Like, I don't expect everybody to do what I do, eat what I eat, and none of that stuff. So when people be like, "Oh, let's go here," I'll be like, "Oh, it's cool." I'll figure out what I want to eat when I get there. I'm okay with it, especially when I'm in other countries and stuff, because 9 times out of 10, this is stuff that none of us know. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I'm not like holding anybody accountable if we go somewhere and the food nasty, because how was we supposed to know?
No, we gonna know because I already looked up the reviews and the recommendations. So, and they had pictures. I'm not going anywhere where they don't have pictures of the food, and I'm not really interested.
Well, nowadays, yes, because we have TikTok. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, but like, to be completely honest, like my first time like out of the country when me and Felicia went without us going on like a cruise or to like when I say my first solo travel experience, I say this because we weren't going on a cruise, we weren't going on an all-inclusive resort. Like, we literally had to book our hotel, book our flights, and figure everything out on our own when we went to London If I'm not mistaken, it was in 2014 is when the Lions played the Falcons. We went for that game, but we booked the trip the way we spent majority of the time in London first, and like the last thing we did in London was the game before we came back. And that was our first experience, like booking everything on our own. Like, I don't think we had a travel agent or anything, but that was our first time really going, and that we didn't have like TikTok, you know what I'm saying, and stuff back then. We literally had to like walk down the streets in London and be like, this restaurant look good, it got a lot of people in it, you know.
Yeah.
So we were more grassroots with it then. Like
That
nowadays,
sounds fun too, though.
it was like it really was. We did the same thing when we went to Amsterdam, so it was really nice. But now I think TikTok gives us so much access. It takes away that organic grassroots component where we're just figuring things out. Because like one of the best experiences me and Felicia had when we went to Brazil just recently, outside of the stuff we found on TikTok and stuff like that, because we got really good recommendations, was just a little hole in the wall ceviche spot next to our hotel. But we didn't see that on anybody's recommendations for anything. We just went in there to order a cocktail and saw they had ceviche flights, and we were like, ceviche flights?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was
And
it
it was,
good?
they had like Thai ceviche with like peanut sauce on it. Like they had so many, they had like different ones with like fruit, like pineapples and mangoes. When I tell you the best ceviche I ever had, so much so that we was eating there like every day before we left Brazil. But
That sounds good.
it was just one of those things that it was an organic find, you know. But if we didn't like it, I wasn't gonna be mad at her. She wasn't gonna be mad at me. We both just decided to walk in there.
Right. That's different though.
Yeah, but I think too, like I said, it's different, and that's something that we could talk about on one of them other days too, because it's kind of like when these younger groups of friends go out on these trips and they come back and somebody done fell out. I'm like, how do y'all do that? Y'all literally went to Miami and y'all came back and ain't nobody friends no more. Like, I don't
personally
get that.
feel like situations like that, it probably had to already be something brewing before they got there, or like some type of communication issues beforehand. Because I mean, that has never been my experience, but I'm also like a very laissez-faire kind of person. I'm not really a confrontational person. I'm super chill. I don't be feeling like doing all of that. Like it'd be a lot. But I think that is a conversation for another day. But I think a lot of those situations stem from like shit that's been already brewing, honestly. But
Well, look, well, before we get back on topic, because we got some other stuff that we need to hit before we
yeah.
finish up today. But if you ever been on a girls trip and it was horrible and you want to tell us about it, write us.
Yeah.
Send us an email to thesoulfulstir@gmail.com, and we can read it during our confession segment. So either that, or if you have an upcoming trip with some people you don't know, or you just have an upcoming trip and you scared that something ain't gonna go right and you need some advice, please send us an email and we will read your confession and or your letter for advice on air and try to assist, or just give you our take on the situation if it's a confession. But yes, if you've been on a girl trip gone bad, please let us know how it went, because we would love to know and discuss it with other listeners.
Yes, that would be lovely. Definitely want to talk about it. So, speaking of food, let's jump into the delicious dive.
Oh my God.
So, this is our segment where we talk about all things related to food and dining experiences, recipes, cultural foods, history, even about cuisine, things that not many of us know or that we just found out and we just want to share with you guys. So last weekend I made some stew peas, some Jamaican stew peas for like the first time in a while. I used to make stew peas all the time, but I don't know, I just kind of got away from it. And one day I was like, dang, I really want some stew peas. So I was chopping it up with my aunt, catching up, and I'm like, hey, remember we were up like making some stew peas one morning in Kingston, Jamaica, and she was like showing me how to do everything. We're like cutting up vegetables, that type of thing, and just getting the feels, the authentic feels of making this dish. I had to ask her to like kind of walk me through what we did because it's been so long since I made it that I like kind of forgot. So she gave me a rundown. And then earlier in the week, my best friend sent me a video of this guy making stew peas with lobster and shrimp in it, which I had never had. Like typically I would make my idol or just vegetable based. But this I can get down with.
Yeah, I'm gonna
You
have to
know,
try that because I never even
I
thought
will
about
send you the
that.
video. It was 10 out of 10. Amazing. I made my own seafood stock from scratch, which is what the recipe calls for. And of course, I had to put my spinners in there because you can't have sous peas without
No spinner.
spinners.
Mm-hmm.
And I made some rice on the side, and it was lovely.
Now
I had enough to
tell the
share.
people about spinners because only a handful of people that I personally know are gonna know what spinners are. We definitely know, but they're not going to know. And I think that
Yeah, so
yeah,
spinners are dumplings essentially, like what we would know culturally as dumplings is just a mashup of flour and seasonings. You know, you get your dough right and you throw it over in your pot, whatever you want to have. Traditionally, we will have them with really with anything that you see fit. Breakfast, you might have dumpling with ackee and saltfish and your yam on the side or your banana on the side. You may have it in your curry goat or curry chicken.
your
Yeah,
oxtails.
your oxtails. You throw you some spinners over in there, and it's just a nice, like, filling little addition to your dish. So that is what spinners are. What we call spinners.
Now that sounds delicious. This week I didn't have anything as good and healthy as that. But I will talk about so I I love to eat, but my biggest thing is drinks. Like I love a good drink. And that I don't necessarily mean an alcoholic beverage. I just mean something very tasty. So Big Mama was on TikTok this week. That's my stomach, y'all, for those of y'all who don't know. Big Mama was on TikTok this week trying to find out some good snacks to try. And we saw this little Asian man talking about a dirty Baja Blast from Taco Bell. Now, I don't like Mountain Dew Pop at all because the caffeine level is through the roof. But I am a sucker for a good Baja Blast slushy from Taco Bell, especially when they $1 during happy hour. But that's another topic. Yes, because I do be cheap. But so they talked about a dirty Baja Blast, which essentially all that is the Mountain Dew Baja Blast with like some vanilla cream syrup in it, and you can get it like a pop or like a slush, but it's kind of like Baja Blast and cream soda having a baby. And when I tell you the mix is so good, like I'm so greedy that I went and got a pop and a slush at the same time.
Yeah, that sounds like
Because
a
once
lot,
I drunk the slush
Tosh.
and it like you know how you drink a slush and it kind of dry up on you a little bit. I was like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go to the pop and I'm gonna wait
It
for that one
just
to melt. Yes, it's so good, y'all, and I'm telling you, it's delicious. But you have to go from 2 to 5 because that's happy hour time. So you could try it for $1. But I'm telling y'all, like I would not steer you wrong. If you like cream soda and you like a Baja Blast slushy, it is so good. Like I know it was so good that I told my niece. I sent her some money on Apple Pay and was like, next time you DoorDash you some Taco Bell, make sure you order one.
Wow. See, I'm not a cream soda kind of girl, so that I don't think that would hit for me. But I do love a good Baja Blast. So is it like heavy on the cream,
No,
or
it's
is
not
a well
overpowering, but
balanced?
it's a well balanced. Like you could tell that it's in there, but it's not one of those things that it's like, it's too much cream. But I'm pretty sure the way they make it is that they probably add it separately, so you might be able to tell them to like do light cream.
Calm down.
Yeah, just give
Calm
me a
down.
little bit. You know what I'm saying? Just
Hey,
give
ease
me
up, ease up on the
like,
cream.
yeah, I don't really want it dirty. I just want it a little messy. You know what I'm saying? Because they call it a dirty Baja Blast. Like, I don't want it dirty. Just a little junky. You know what I'm saying? Just a little something that ain't clean. You know what I'm saying? I want a little mix, but not too much. You know, not a sink full of dishes, but just like a bowl and a spoon.
See, every time I try to do that though, I feel like they always go hard, like, and I always end up disappointed. Like, dang, I said light, and y'all just really poured the whole bottle in there. So I don't know. Like, if I'm feeling festive, I might just try it. I'm down to
Yeah.
try like stuff once that I typically don't like. So like cream soda, I haven't had it since I was a kid because I just tasted it and was like, this is not really for me. But maybe with the
Yeah, I
Baja
was about to
Blast,
say,
it
and
might
then
be
try it now
good.
because you older. Like different stuff. Like
Your taste buds mature.
I won't eat onions, and I never liked them as a kid. But now that I'm grown, I tear a bag of Funyuns up.
Oh, Funyuns are pretty good.
Like I tear a bag of
I
Funyuns
haven't had Funyuns in
to
a long time.
pieces, and that's crazy because if I was a kid, I would die before somebody gave me a bag of Funyuns. Like, somebody gave you a bag of Funyuns. Remember that scene on Martin when Miss Jerry said, "I don't eat no damn tuna," and she smashed that sandwich? She had begged Martin for that sandwich. Gina convinced him
Oh
to give her
my
the sandwich, and she bit
god.
it and smashed her shit and stepped on it and said, "I don't eat no damn tuna." And that's how I used to feel about Funyuns. Like, if you would have gave me that, I'd have smashed that bag of chips back on your chest and be like, "Take this shit somewhere else."
Oh my god, you are an awful kid, man. Speaking of being a kid and things that we enjoyed or did not enjoy as a child, so Rice Krispie treats. You know, they have this new ice cream
That
sandwich
everybody and their mama talking
that everybody's been
about.
talking about, and I just so happened to come across a video on Instagram of a guy testing out these ice cream bars. So what did I do when I left work? I just happened to walk into a Kroger. I was actually going to Kroger to get me some mahi mahi,
Y'all see how that happened?
and
The wind just blew her into the
blew
Kroger.
me down to the novelty ice cream aisle.
Two totally different sections of the store.
You know, I just wanted to see if they had them, and they happened to have them. Now the price of these ice cream bars, they were like $7, and you only get 3 in a box, and they're relatively small. So that's what I did not like about it. I was like, okay, I'm gonna try these when I get home, but then I hit traffic because 696 is closed, and it's really been causing a lot of issues for a lot of people, including myself. So while I was in traffic, I opened up that box to have me a sweet little treat, and
So I don't know if this question is gonna make it worse or better. But did you have the strawberry ones or vanilla? Because I saw
oh, you
somebody.
have they have
I
strawberry
saw
ones.
somebody
You know
on the
what?
internet today
They
with
do.
strawberry, and they
They do.
said,
They show you the different flavors on the back of the box. So I
"Yep."
had the vanilla one. And I will say that it was pretty tasty, but I do feel like it was a bit overrated for my like taste buds. And I also think that part of it was just having the expectation of how a Rice Krispie treat is supposed to taste, and like even though I know it's an ice cream sandwich, like at that point when you bite into it, like it was still like, dang, this is like cold on my teeth, and like I'm not used to that with a Rice Krispie treat. So it took a little bit getting used to, but I think it was a little overrated based off of what people were saying on the internet, especially, you know, just thinking about the price. Like, I mean, $7 for 3 small little ice cream bars. I don't know, but I'm not a big ice cream bar connoisseur, so
Yeah, I
it
think
was just
that's one
something
of
to
those.
try.
That's probably one of those things I might pass on, only because I'm not a Rice Krispie treat eater, like in real life.
Really?
Nope. Like,
I
if
love Rice
somebody
Krispie
was to give me a
treats.
box of Rice Krispie treats, they'll go bad. Like, I probably would never even open them.
See, it's a once in like a blue moon kind of deal for me. Like, I don't want, like, it's not something I can eat every day or like even every week or every month. Every once in a while, I'll be like, dang, I could go for a Rice Krispie treat.
Yeah, no, I can't do Rice Krispie treats, so I don't think I would try it. Now, I do like a good ice cream sandwich, but I don't think I would do the Rice Krispie treats. It's I don't know. Like, I used to eat them when I was younger, but something just I don't know. Something just happened in my life one day, and I just didn't like them no more.
It
And I
be like that
just,
sometimes.
and stuff that I know I ain't supposed to like, I don't even question when I don't like it no
You just
more.
woke up and said, you know
I don't
what? I
like
don't want this
these,
no
and I
more.
don't need to eat them. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I felt about pork and beef. Like when I went away to college, I was just like, I don't want to eat this no more, and I did not
Yeah.
eat it after then. Like I was good, but yeah, I mean that was my Rice Krispie adventure. I think that we should probably switch gears over to our mind, body, and balance section. Talk a little bit about health and wellness and herbalism, and maybe we talk about grief. I mean, it's a little bit of everything in between because mental health is health, right? And I think that
Yeah.
grief plays a component in, well, it definitely plays a component in all of that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to actually mention a herb of the day.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is actually a pretty well loved herb, I would say, across every culture, and that is ginger. Ginger is a pretty mild herb, but it's very powerful at the same time. It has anti inflammatory properties. It's good for digestion, for joint pain. It's also good for relieving menstrual cramps, just to name a few things. You can always Google for like the full list of benefits of ginger, but it is a flowering plant. And more than likely, we like to use the roots of the plant, and you can steep it on a stove with some water and make you a tea. That's how I like to consume it typically. Or I will dehydrate some or buy it already dehydrated, and I'll add it to my tea blends just for that extra kick, that extra benefit of all of the great things that it has to offer. The other thing is, I've been seeing people put it or make ginger shots with it. Did you see that video of the little baby where her mom gave her a ginger shot?
No,
And
I
she was
haven't.
like, ah!
I haven't, but I used to give Royce. I used to give Royce. He used to drink my juices from Beyond, and he said, "Oh, it's spicy."
It's
And I said, "You don't?" I said, "You want some more?" He said, "Yes, it's spicy, good." I said, "Okay," because I love ginger. Like ginger is my favorite. I literally drink ginger tea every night before I go to bed.
It's so good. So good for your digestive system.
I don't know if that's the West Indian in me or if it's just the because I know you know what I'm saying. Like ginger, people don't like ginger is big. Like
It is.
especially in Caribbean culture. But I put like ginger in smoothies. I put it. I make juices. I make tea. I use it to in certain recipes, especially if I'm making like homemade like Asian style food. I put ginger. Like I like ginger in everything. I eat ginger chews like the candy, like they
Those are
Starbursts. Yeah, like I
good.
just like them. Like
Those
I get
are
the
good.
you get the flavored ones like
I
the mango and the
do.
different kinds. So
I
yeah,
like
I
the
just get those.
they have like the coconut.
Yes, I've had that
Yeah,
too.
those
Yeah,
are
I like.
good.
I
Nice little
absolutely love
snack to
ginger.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah, ginger is a really good one. We'll definitely have more to add to our mind body balance segment in the coming episodes. So we're looking forward to sharing more with you guys. Um, I think we definitely want to jump into what we've been talking about a little bit all day because music is such a big part of our lives. And
Yeah, for sure.
let's jump into sound check.
Yeah, let's jump into sound check.
So we were talking about songs that we hated that other people loved, like absolutely loved. Like, what's a song that you hated, like back in the day, or even like
Girl,
recently
it's so
that people
many.
just play out?
It's so many, but the one on the top of my brain right now that I hate, like currently, well, I can't even say current, but like, you know,
I feel like I know what you're gonna
2020
say.
to current.
I think I know what you're gonna
2020
say.
to current
What is
is
it?
is it is the name of the song I See You? Is that the name of the song? Is that what it's called?
Oh, by Coco Jones.
Is that Twin? Where have you been?
Oh no,
Who is
that's
that?
ICU is that's Coco Jones.
Okay, so who
You thinking about
sing?
Money Long,
Oh
Made for
yeah,
Me.
that ooh girl, ooh
You don't like
yes.
that
It
song?
sounds like a Negro spiritual. It sounds like Heather Headley. And no respect, no disrespect to Heather Headley, but I ain't never liked her music. It just don't move me.
Really?
Absolutely, it don't
I
move me.
love
Like
Heather
I don't like that low vibrational
Headley.
ass music. And I hate to say this because
Heather
God rest her
Headley.
soul. I love you too, Angie Stone. Sorry, I don't want to say this, but her music didn't move me either. Like
Oh
I'm just
man.
not. You know what I'm saying? Like I enjoy neo soul music, but I'm more of like I like ghetto neo soul artists. Like give me a Erykah Badu, give me a Jill Scott. Like and I don't want to go down this rabbit hole because I don't want to do this because this lady dead and gone. But I just can't vibe with Angie Stone, and you was out here being a predator.
She was being a predator.
When she had that baby with D'Angelo was 19. She met him when he was 17,
Oh my
and she was like
god.
30.
I never knew
She
that.
tweet. I gotta find that tweet. I'm gonna read this. I'm about to read this on air. She tweeted like right before she passed away on on her platform and was like, people are trying to say that I was a predator. Like she addressed the issue. Like maybe like a month before she passed away.
That's
Cause I
so
sent somebody the screenshot the other
sad.
day and I was like, huh? Like yeah, but that was like weird to
I
me.
didn't know that.
Yeah, when she had that baby with D'Angelo, he was young. And the only reason why I say that is because I think people talk about that all the time where if it were men, they would be looked at differently. And I just don't feel like it's fair even as a woman to take advantage of a man who is essentially a boy. Like, you know what I'm saying, who's not old enough to like fully understand what's going on. I'm not saying he didn't understand it, because yeah, he was that age, but you know what I mean. Like, I just didn't feel like that was appropriate, and I just felt like it was weird for you to have so much uplifting music, but to be a creep in your personal life. So yeah, she tweeted. She said, "Everyone is saying that I'm a groomer because of my relationship with D'Angelo. Is acting like they've never been in their 30s and developed a deep friendship with a 17-year-old that blossomed into a romance and a baby 2 years later."
Wow.
At 30, I wasn't friends with nobody that was 17.
Yeah, I can't think of a single soul.
At 30, I wasn't even. At 30, I probably had nieces and nephews that was 17, because I got a slew of nieces and nephews. But I'm gonna tell you this: wasn't none of them my friends. They had respect for me as an adult,
Right.
like that. We weren't. That wasn't what we was doing.
Yeah, no, I just think that it's a difference for me and just like, and most of us, the mental state of where we are at 30 versus, someone that is 18, 19 years old. Like, we don't really have much in common at that point. I don't feel so.
Mm-mm.
But rest in peace to Angie Stone. I didn't know any of that. That's news to me.
Yeah, it's a
I
lot.
will. It is a lot. It's a lot to digest, and we could potentially, jump a little bit or dive a little bit deeper into that subject of grooming and how these things correlate and how we see these things in our communities, because I think it is an important topic to touch on. But I'm gonna tell you my song, since we're talking about songs we hated. And this song came out when I was maybe in middle school.
Don't say nothing
I
crazy.
think elementary school.
Don't say nothing crazy.
It was Mario Winans' "I Don't Want to Know."
Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy.
No, it's not.
No. Let me be clear. The song is crazy as hell. The song is wild. I'm not agreeing with that song at all. But the song was a bop. Like, come on now. Mario Winans, like, come on. It was a bop. Like, I don't care what nobody say.
And no shade to Mario Winans. Like, I'm sure he's doing great things with himself. I just didn't care for that song. I think as a kid hearing it, it just did not hit for me vocally. I was just like, I don't like the way that this sounds. And I remember like it was such a big hit, like at the time, that everybody played it. And I'm like, dang, like when it would come on, I would just switch the radio station. Like, I do not want to hear this. I don't know if it was the song, like maybe it was the lyrics, or I don't know. I did not like that song. And to this day, I really don't care for it. Like, it's not something that is on my playlist of songs that I would want to hear from the 2000s. Like, I'm good on that. I don't need to hear that.
Mario Winans, and I, it's crazy that I'm about to make this correlation, because I feel like it's all clicking for me now. But Mario Winans, to me, I feel like he should have had a better run than he did. I see what you're saying vocally. Maybe that wasn't his best performance. But you got to realize he's coming from the Winans family. Like, he is a part of that legendary Winans family.
Yeah.
So
he could be better.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He could be better, but
because they are legends.
A lot of it has to do with production and writing. But I also believe I put him in the same category that I put Ryan Leslie. Ryan Leslie could have been a lot better, but we also know that, I don't even want to say that man's name on my podcast.
I already know.
But Janet's son could have did better by Ryan Leslie, because the issue with Ryan Leslie, the reason why he didn't pop, is because they got into it about Cassie.
Oh, I didn't
Cassie,
know
when you listen to Cassie's first single and all that other stuff, that's Ryan Leslie in the background saying "Next Selection." That was the name of his production company. He was producing and writing. When him and Cassie were a couple, she was just a model. He convinced her to sing. She started doing choruses and hooks on his songs. Then he started writing songs for her to sing. And then next thing you know, Janet's son set his sights on her and decided that she was going to be his woman. And regardless of what was going on between her and Ryan Leslie, it was like, oh, I'm going to take her from you. And he essentially blackballed Ryan Leslie from the industry because of that.
I didn't know that.
Yes, they got into it over Cassie.
You're such an oracle of knowledge.
They got into it over Cassie. It was all over Cassie. And think about it. Wild. How far-fetched is that? You don't think he would definitely blackball somebody to keep him from being hot in the industry if he went and set a man's car on fire for the same girl. He set Kid Cudi's car on fire for Cassie because he thought Cassie and Kid Cudi was like flirting or something, or they had some kind of friendship that he didn't approve of, and he never denied them allegations. When the story first came out, when he first started getting arrested, Kid Cudi got on Twitter and pretty much said, "Oh, but yes, he did it." He was like, he was like, "Oh, I don't have nothing," like pretty much was saying that he don't have nothing to say about what was being said because it was true. He was like, "I'm not gonna dispute the facts."
Wow.
Kid Cudi was in his house, and his car blew up in his driveway while nobody was in the car.
That's very wild.
And if I'm not mistaken, he had friends over, like other people that pretty much said that they was there and they witnessed the explosion. And when somebody brought it up to the man, he was kind of like, "Oh yeah, okay, and like, yeah, I did it." Did he do it? Yeah, he did it. Did he did it? Did it. Absolutely. So if you will blow somebody's car up for being her friend, I highly believe you will blackball her boyfriend from the industry because you want her. Like, I'm assuming in his sick mind, he thought that if I stop him from being popular or famous and making money, he can't compete with me.
Wow.
Yes. That's exactly, yeah.
That's wild. Well, that's more history that I did not know. Music history for a sound check segment. Yeah. Speaking of Kid Cudi, I really love Kid Cudi, and I don't know if people have seen his film that he did on Netflix, the cartoon. I believe it's called Intergalactic.
I personally haven't seen it, and I don't even think I knew about it. That's interesting.
Yeah, he's behind that, and he voices the main character as well, and I think it's just such a testament to just how creative Kid Cudi is, and I think The Pursuit of Happiness definitely has like a place in the soundtrack of my life, I feel like. But on top of that, he is just fine to me. Like, he is handsome. Look at this headline. He is handsome to me. What? Okay, so this headline says Diddy slapped fire out of Ryan Leslie and took Cassie.
That's what I'm saying. What? Everybody knew it was a whole ordeal about them.
Mm-hmm. Where was I at? That just goes to show you just how much I be like out of the loop for real.
But not only
I don't
that,
be knowing what be going on.
It's also a testament of like people, as much as we still like, it's a gift and a curse. Because I was telling somebody the other day that I liked celebrities as a whole lot more when I was growing up, when you could only speculate things about celebrities. Now, when you get online, celebrities are literally opening their mouth and telling us things that used to be rumored. You know what I'm saying? Like, it'd be like, "Oh, well, they said that so-and-so do this," and we wouldn't know it. Now, celebrities, I don't know if it's a money grab or if it's just an intentional, I'm trying to make people see my life. But it's like now celebrities put everything online, like stuff that I didn't want to know. I never forget years ago, and it's funny because now she's doing the same thing again, but years ago, Carisha got on Instagram and was like in her house, like showing inside her refrigerator, and somebody was like, "You ain't got no water?" She was like, "I don't drink water because I don't like it," or something. And people was like, "Oh girl, we know your pH balance all messed up." No. You know what I'm saying? But then she tried to come back and say, "Oh, I was just joking. I don't like, girl, what is it?" You know what I'm saying? So that's when I say that it's a gift and a curse. Like, I liked it when we could only like speculate or go off of what a celebrity said in an interview versus now everything is on the internet. So we know way too much. But I also say that even with that being said, there's still an underworld, or not necessarily an underworld, but a totally different world and lifestyle in those Hollywood circles that we will never ever be privy to. Like, even all the stuff that we know now about Diddy, it's so many other people that know so much more that won't say anything. You know what I'm saying? Because it challenges the status quo, or it will challenge their position or their loyalty or their credibility, quote unquote, in the entertainment industry. And I think a lot of that is weird. And I really don't want to get that man no time on my podcast, but I say that to say, yes, I say that to say, and it really bothers me because I've always been a big Mary J. Blige fan, like since I was a kid.
Really?
Like, yeah, it's like my mom and them used to buy me combat boots, and I used to like do real love video reenactments and shit. Girl, it's a whole story. It's the whole thing.
Not you were doing the Mary kicks.
I had Oh, so just in a smaller size. So yes, that's what I'm talking about. When I'm talking about performing, is a part of who I like, how I grew up. Like I remember my mom that made me a earring with a key on it, like Janet Jackson.
Oh, I think we should bring that back.
I had an earring with a key
I
on
like
it.
that.
I used to perform Paula Abdul videos. My mama would wet my hair and let me perform like I was Michael Jackson. My grandmother bought me some purple jeans and cut the booty out of them. And I used to dance around like Prince in the house in front of her.
Oh my
Like, yes. Like, I
god.
literally, then when I loved the Spice Girls, they bought me all this leopard print, like, Scary Spice type clothes. Like, everything that
I
I saw
love the
Scary
Spice
Spice
Girls too.
wear, my grandparents would buy me, and I would, like, perform for them on holidays and stuff. Like, it's a big part of my growing up. But I say all of that to say, like, Mary J. Blige is one person who I have personally heard has been victimized by Diddy in some horrific ways. And it baffles me that in the midst of all of this stuff coming out about him, she continues to protect him. Like she's not a
Yeah.
person, as a woman that has watched him physically beat on another woman. You never ever thought to say that this is wrong because he's your friend. So you won't speak out against him. But that's so weird to me because
Yeah.
so many people have mentioned her as being a direct victim of his. Like in the early 90s, like him victimizing her, like making her do inexplicit sexual things, like with other people in studios and all kind of stuff.
What?
Yet, here we are. She won't say nothing about it.
Wow. She makes such empowering music too for women, which I think is also a stark contrast to that. So I think that's really interesting. That could be something too that we could possibly pin for another day. Because I
Yeah.
don't be knowing like I don't know. I
Especially
don't know as much
the
about these
the
things.
firsthand embarrassment she experienced at the hands of Casey when they were dating and or engaged. I don't understand how she's sitting around protecting or not speaking out against another abuser. Like Casey did her dirty in the 90s, like dirty. Yet you're still sitting here watching your friend do other women the same way. Like, and that's a
Yeah.
whole nother, like it's a whole nother conversation. And like I said, I don't want to give him time, but I feel like we do need to do an episode like where we just kind of talk about the ramifications of all of this stuff happening and how it's affecting people, because I'm still confused
Yeah.
as to why his son Christian supports him heavily when there's so many allegations that he killed your mama. Like, I know that's your daddy.
I mean, like for me, like being on the outside looking in, I just feel like I don't know what I don't know about anything.
Yeah.
Especially situations like that. So I never really got too deep into what they had going on. I obviously feel for victims of abuse, and I never want to see anybody, man or woman, go through a situation of abuse at any level, especially when your life is being compromised or it has been taken. Nobody ever wants to see that. But I think that for me, like I don't get too deep into stuff. For one, I just think that I just try to focus on like what's presently in front of me.
Yes.
Now, granted, the shit was like everywhere, like where all of those allegations came out. I mean, it's everywhere. You couldn't click on a social media app without seeing something about Diddy and all of these different allegations. But I'm like, everybody, like, there's so many different stories, and we don't really know like what's true or what's not. I mean, we can go based off of what we've seen, you know what I'm saying, or what people have said, or what appears to be, evident and clear. But at the same time, it's like, shit, I don't know what I don't know, and I don't know any of these people personally.
And I'll be
so
the first to admit that I don't be like, I guess I look at it like this, and I think maybe that's my maturity level. Like I said, I don't know. But if it were me, I'm going to put it like this. I can't tell that young man what to do. That's his family. But I'm going to say, if it were me, I would not be okay with there being even an assumption that you might have had something to do with my mother's passing.
No, I
And I
get
could be
it.
cool with you. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, I feel like that's just a dirty place to be in. Like, and
Mm-hmm.
as a parent, that's a dirty place to put your kids in. And I'm not even talking about the assumption. I'm talking about even parents that actually do it. You know what I'm saying? Like when I watch court shows and stuff all the time, when you have those parents that kill the other parent and then they get mad because their kids don't want nothing to do with them, it's like, what do you expect? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like people have this entitlement. And that look, we just coming up with, we got all these topics because that's another show, maybe on the show where we talk about like familial conditioning, but there's a level of parental entitlement
Mm-hmm.
that parents don't seem to feel like they have.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's where an issue comes in sometime because I get it. You know what I'm saying? You're my parent and I love you and I respect you, but I don't have to have dealings with you if I feel like you're a shady person.
Right.
And I feel like that's where a lot of people get it mixed up, where they feel like, well, in order for me to be a good person, I have to have a good relationship with my parents. When
No, you don't.
really being a good person is
Not up
just holding
there.
your peace and staying away and protecting yourself. Like
Yeah, that's
you,
true.
and you can just be a good person by saying, I know that this person is going to trigger me, and in order to respect them, I'm gonna stay in my lane, because if I don't, I'm gonna slap them in their face.
Yeah, I think that you can be respectful and have healthy boundaries, and I think that is something that we should definitely talk about with familial conditioning, because a lot of us have grown up in households where it makes you feel like you can't have both. You know, like
Yes.
you have to be in contact with your parents. You gotta respect me. You gotta respect me as your parent, as your mother, as your father. But it's like, what if you have a situation where one of your parents is an abuser, you know, and we're taught that a lot, especially in the black household, you know, even just down to the whole privacy aspect of like, what you want to talk about what happens outside of this
Yep.
house, you know, so you're not able to even have healthy conversations about establishing boundaries or what's appropriate and what's not, what's deemed as abusive and what's not, to decipher, you know, growing up. Like, what should I be comfortable with dealing with, like, or what should I speak out about, you know,
Yeah.
or seek help, seek refuge about. So that's a totally different
Yeah. And I think
subject.
that keeps people bound from not being accepting of or receptive to going to therapy,
Mm-hmm.
because they feel
Yeah.
like, I can't go air my mama or my daddy's dirty laundry, but you're
Yeah.
talking to somebody who legally cannot tell. You know what I'm saying? You're
But
talking to somebody who is not there to judge. You're just trying to get stuff out and for somebody to help you think through things and process things a lot differently. People got to stop looking at going to therapy as just airing out dirty laundry. It's
right.
you're airing out your soul. You're talking about things that make you feel and think certain things that you might not be comfortable with. And I think that once people get comfortable with being uncomfortable, it makes it okay in therapy. But I think you can only be uncomfortable for so long in your space before you snap. And I think that's what therapy does. It gives you a place to go and to land where you don't feel like, I have to hold all this in and do all this labor on my own. I'll talk to my therapist a lot about like certain things I feel, and she's like, you don't have to feel that way. You don't have to process that. That ain't your business to be worried about. And I'd be like, oh, because I thought it was. You know what I'm saying? Because somebody brought
Yeah.
it to me. But she's like, you
No.
could always just say no. You don't have to deal with it. And I've gotten
No.
so much better with processing things or doing what's best for me because I was willing to talk about those things with my therapist that I never felt comfortable talking to anybody else about, because I didn't want people to hear my story and judge me or my family. You know what I'm saying? Like,
So that's what I was gonna say. Like, there is a big stigma of shame around seeking help for a lot of us, and especially our men. Like, I was just talking to my sorority sister today, and talking to her about how there are a lot of people walking around with uncried tears just bottled up because of how we've been taught and the fact that we are in survival mode most of the time. But a big part about therapy, I remember growing up hearing about therapy, or like you see it like on the TV shows and like see people get in therapy, and it's like, oh, I think that might be beneficial. And at one point, I remember my mom saying like, no, you don't need to go to therapy. Like, that's for people that have like real issues. Well, what do you mean by like real issues? What like is classified as real issues to you.
Well, because I think people don't see therapy. I think that's the first step. As Black people, we have to separate or understand the difference between a therapist and a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
People automatically think therapy and they think shrink and they think pills, like mental health disorder, like, you know what I'm saying, like diagnosis. When therapy, sometimes your lack of therapy will push you into that diagnosis if you keep internalizing stuff that you should be working through. But therapy is not a place that you go and get condemned and somebody tell you, well, this is what's going on with you and this is what you need to do and you need to take this medicine so many times a day. And I think that's what Black people get hung up on, because
it's the distinguishing factor between the two.
Yes, there's a big difference between the two, for one. But also, as Black people, I think we like to take stuff to an extreme. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't, you know, people be like, oh, it could be a little bit of rain outside. People like, it's raining. Like, man, it's pouring down outside. And then you go outside and be like, it ain't even that bad.
We like to add a little razzle dazzle.
Yeah, so we automatically think if you go to therapy, like, something got to be wrong with you. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to therapy. The first person like, you bipolar, you schizophrenic. Like, no, I just need somebody to talk to. That's not y'all.
Like, no, I just want to have somebody that has an unbiased opinion. I will say, as someone who's been in therapy for the past 3 years, I'm a huge advocate for therapy and for mental health. And I found it to be so beneficial in my life. And I'm somebody that I think a lot of people consider to be a very level-headed, kind of reserved person. Again, I'm just real chill, you know. But I think that we all have our things, and there's nothing wrong with talking to someone to, you know, have a place, like you said, to land and to have an unbiased opinion and to seek, you know, advice from that you can trust. So I think it's that. The other thing is, along with shame, just around the fact of you going to seek help and going to therapy, there's also a shame of people having a lack of education about what they are experiencing, or, you know, being afraid of what they may not know. I think that's a really big thing in our community as well. And I try to work really hard, especially in the space that I'm in as a doula and as someone that's an advocate for reproductive justice, is to get people out of that. Like, don't be ashamed of what you don't know. I push my clients to ask those questions that you just simply don't know, because how else are you going to learn? And to be comfortable with not knowing everything. It's okay if you don't know how this is affecting your part of pregnancy, how this is affecting your body, or what happens next, or you need resources, you need help. But if you sit and you don't say anything, then I'm not going to know anything. I'm not going to know that you need help, and neither will your healthcare provider. So that kind of balances out full circle into what I believe is a part of the larger issue around therapy and why so many people don't go, is that, you know, people just feel like, oh, okay, well, they're like comfortable not knowing, and there's a bit of shame there too of not knowing what you feel like you should know, if that makes sense. Yeah. Based on the world around you and how other people operate and how we compare ourselves to people.
Yeah, I'm a huge advocate for therapy. I feel like a therapist is like an unbiased best friend. Because
that's a good way to put it.
Your therapist only knows the you that shows up. And whether you're being honest or not with your therapist is another situation. But I say your therapist is an unbiased best friend, because your therapist doesn't win or lose or have any real iron in the fire when it comes to the outcome of your situation. You know, when you, as women, we go and talk to our friends, and our friends, we don't know what their real intention is. Or if you got a single friend, like, I'm not saying that this is the case, but how you know she just don't want you to be back out here single with her? Like, so she got somebody to do clubbing with
that
again.
Is true.
You know, so you never know when you telling your friend, like, I feel like I need to be out of this relationship. You might be self-sabotaging yourself, and your friend is going to go with you. Your friend is going to be like, yeah, girl, you just need to drop him because of X, Y, and Z, when your therapist might really make you do the work to realize that this is a person that you really want. It just seems like it's too good to be true because of your past situations. So you're comparing those things. But see, as people, we're so linear. We're so busy focused on the present and the future that we don't go back to realize things in our past and how they correlate with what we're going through now. But when you have a therapist, I think over time, or you've at least backed up and told them some of your past situations, they can always go back and kind of start putting two and two together. And I will say this, you got to have a good therapist. All therapists ain't made equal.
You gotta have
All
a good
therapists
one.
are not created equal. I'm blessed enough to have a really nice lady. She's a black lady. She's younger. So we can kind of go back and forth. She remembers stuff. I could tell her stuff, and she putting two and two together, and we just click. It's like a conversation. And I'm so open and honest with her, and she's so used to my style of communication that she can tell when I'm hitting a roadblock. She'll be like, no, give me some more. She'll be like, you really, that's not what you really feel. So she's really making me go beyond to just work through these things myself. And she'll say it all the time in therapy. She's like, you've done your work. You just need to talk things out with me sometime. And I feel better talking those things out with her than talking those things out with my friends, only because sometimes some of the ways I feel, I don't want my friends to take offense to. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have real strong beliefs about relationships and love and stuff. And when I talk about it with my therapist, I can say what I want to say. But I might not want to say those things to my friend, because what if her situation kind of mirrors one of the ones that I'm talking about? You know, like, I don't want to put her or them in a specific place. But my therapist, I don't know nothing about her personal life. You know what I'm saying? We could talk and I can say these things, and she knows that I don't know nothing about her personal life. So she's not taking offense to the things I'm saying. She just listening and letting me apply it to other places. And I feel like everybody needs somebody, like, in real life. My sister is a therapist, a licensed therapist, but she has a therapist. Like, everybody needs somebody to talk to and just a safe space to be able to go. And at least if it's nothing, to let somebody just hear you out. That's always a place. I feel like everybody needs somebody. Because we all struggle with things that we don't talk about, and that we're afraid to talk about with the masses. But maybe once you have that one conversation with your therapist, it'll open the door for you to feel more comfortable reiterating that or communicating that to those around you. Sometimes we're going through stuff that we want to tell people around us, and we just don't know how to say it. And we need somebody to tell us that it's okay to say it the way we want to say it, you know, or maybe we should soften it up a little bit, or maybe we being too soft. Because sometimes my therapist has told me, like, nah, you should have cussed them out. Like, I can't believe you didn't. You should have.
I mean, there's a important boundary establishment when it comes to having a therapist and the advice that they give you. A good therapist, I would say, they're going to teach you how to advocate for yourself, and they're going to always be down, 10 toes down on what is best for you and having your best interest at heart. I love my therapist down. She has become like an aunt to me. She's an older black woman, and I've been able to kick back and see the growth in myself on a personal level, on a professional level, in the ways that I show up in my personal lives, in my all of my relationships, my friendships, what have you. And it's just made such a big difference. So definitely an advocate for mental health. And I hope that we can, well, I know that we're going to talk more about this and create a safe space for people to listen. And hopefully, I hope that people can find some connection in what we're talking about and be able to hear our pod and say, like, dang, that resonates with me, or like, I really can get down with that. But speaking of relationships, I kind of want to jump into our rhythm and groove segment.
Let's groove.
Yeah, let's groove.
Let's groove. What's up?
So rhythm and groove, we'll be talking about all things related to sex, dating, relationships, and everything in between. So something that I wanted to talk about today is lat relationships. Have you heard about lat relationships?
No. Educate me.
Okay, so lat relationships, we're starting to see it become more and more of a thing, if you will, in our society, which I think is pretty cool. It's a non-traditional relationship that involves two people being together. Most of the time they are monogamous, but they are living alone together, which is what LAT stands for.
Hold on, pause. What you mean? Okay, hold on, y'all, because I'm over here actively researching, and she giving me this definition, and I'm confused because on the Googles, it says living apart together, but it says a committed relationship who's lived separately. They don't say that they sometimes
Right.
monogamous. They say it is monogamy all the
Yeah,
time.
no, I said most of the time because we are also starting to see more
Well, that's why I wanted to
non-traditional
be clear,
relationships.
because everybody want to be
Hey,
ethically non-monogamous.
right. I mean, but you may have somebody that is ethically non-monogamous and they could also be in a lat relationship. It's a possibility. So I didn't want to leave out those people who may have that within their relationship. But a lat relationship entails two people typically living alone together. So you're in a committed relationship and you all live in separate houses. People are even married. Sometimes they're married with children, and the wife may live in one house, and their father could live on a whole nother coast.
Shirley Ralph and her husband are a lat couple. And
Exactly. And I thought that was so
so I
interesting.
will say that when it was an article on one of those like blog sites that talked about her and her husband's relationship, and I was really upset at the comments. Like, the comment section was just not giving what it was,
What were they saying?
what I wanted it to. Well, people was just talking about, like, well, yeah, he probably cheating and y'all cheating. Like, it just went straight to, you know, I don't want to say this and sound bad, but
The
y'all gonna hear
idea
me
of
say ghetto
adultery.
stuff on a regular basis. But it just was some real ass comments, and I ain't like that, because it was like a lot of self projecting and just a lot of, I felt that you could tell the lack of maturity in those comments, because I could totally understand. Well, let's back it up. She was the first person to actually discuss it on an open platform, but I guarantee you, she's not the first celebrity of her stature
No,
to
of
live,
course
to
not.
be in a lat relationship. So I say that to say that it was really pissing me off, because people were really like negative about the situation, when I'm just one of those people that everybody is not going to be traditional, and I believe that people have to do what works for them, just because everybody don't want to be up in somebody's face all day. And then, like, when people have different lifestyles and stuff, that doesn't mean they don't love each other and they don't want to be together. Sometimes, though, in order for you to be the best person you want to be for your person, you have to be happy. And if that means that you live on another coast because you're working the job of your dreams, sometimes it's okay to be okay with that. Like, it's okay to be apart. Like, I think in our society, we have so much of a codependency on other people
Yeah.
that we don't realize when it shows up how it rears its ugly head. Influencers talk about that a lot, where it's like, God forbid I go live every other day and talk to y'all about what's going on in my life. The 3 days that I don't go live, everybody's wondering if something is wrong with me. Like, what if I just wanted to take a break? You know what I'm saying? And I feel
Yeah.
like people are so used to getting the results that they want all the time, it bothers them when somebody is doing something that they don't necessarily agree with.
I mean, but that also ties into just the idea of control, right? And like
Yes.
how people see things going or how they should be because this is the way that it's always been done. We don't necessarily, oh, I can't even say necessarily, we don't live in a society that is open to change and that is open to new ideas and new unconventional ways of living. So when people see that people are in these non-traditional relationships, everybody gets to point the finger. You start to see people in the comments saying, just making assumptions about people's lives that you do not know. Like we don't know these people at all. We just know them as being, public figures. And as we were talking about earlier, there's a whole other dimension to their lives that we have nothing, like we know nothing about, if you will.
And
So it's that idea of control and people looking at it like it's supposed to be this way. And so of course he's cheating on her or she's cheating on him. There's no way that they could be in a committed relationship living alone together. Why? Because you and your partner
it's
can't
couples
do
that
it
live
or you
together,
prefer
work
not to.
together, and they still cheat on each other.
That's a
Like,
fact.
I think
That is a fact.
people like to just project so much negativity on other people, and people, especially black people, are very judgmental about things that they don't understand or things that don't necessarily suit them. And we see it every day. Like, you could scroll on social media and, like, just how we say with everything, it's more than one way to skin a cat. Just because you're married doesn't mean that marriages have to look a certain way on paper. Just like if I fry chicken, I might do it this way, you might do it this way. It's still fried chicken. You know what I'm saying? It
Right.
might taste different, but it's still fried chicken. They're still married. They don't have to live together. I mean, that's just like, it's weird because people don't think about this. But if your parents or if your grandparents or even if you were ever in the military and you were married, 9 times out of 10, you were probably in a lat relationship. Unless your partner was with you in the military or you had a familial allowance and they were with you on base, 9 times out of 10, your parents or grandparents or even yourself were in a long-term relationship or living apart together.
Yeah, I didn't even think
The
about
military,
that
that's
part
what I'm
of
saying.
it.
That's a traditional thing, but we don't look at it as tradition and which is weird because guess what? You look at it like, oh, they're off going to they're in the military. Okay, she's at work. It's the same
Yeah.
thing. If she's on movie sets doing all of this, and just because somebody says that they're living like people, and I think this is what the issue was. I think people looked at the Shirley Ralph situation and took it as she's probably living in some elusive, huge mansion, got all this money and she's living comfortable, and her husband is living just as comfortable on the East Coast and they're cool. I guarantee you that's probably not the case. Her husband might have the big house wherever they feel comfortable being stationed, but if she's an actress, she might be filming in LA for 3 months, so she might get an apartment. She might go to Miami and get an apartment for 4 or 5 months to film there. Like, just because they're living apart doesn't mean that their intention is to permanently remain apart.
Right.
And I think people have to stop worrying about what other people are doing, because this could be something that they're doing just temporarily. Or she says she like it. She said they've been doing it for a long time. So if she's happy, why does it matter?
It really doesn't. And that's my whole thing. Like, whatever works for you is what works for you. If everybody in the relationship is comfortable and they're consenting to being a part of that relationship and it works for y'all, then go for it. It really has nothing to do with anybody else. I just wanted to shed light on this because I think it's such an interesting topic or an interesting way of being in a relationship, and anything that's like non-traditional is like really interesting to me because it does push the narrative of change, and it forces us, I feel like, to have a more open mind and perspective on things such as relationships and looking at all sides of the spectrum, if you will, as to how maybe even potentially we can be in different relationships that could possibly work for us that we may not know anything about. I don't know if I could do a lat relationship. Do you think you could do a lat relationship?
I mean, I think I'm kind of currently in one.
Oh, oh yeah, that's
Yes, I'm living apart
actually
together. Yeah.
actually.
So that's what I'm saying. You have to do what works for y'all. Like, a lot of our decision was just because, we've come off this extreme grief situation where we lost our son. And I think we just separately as individuals need to work on ourselves. Outside of us losing our son, which is something that I'll definitely talk about over the course of the pod. But I lost my niece 7 months before I lost my son, which that was my firstborn niece. And I raised her like a kid, like one of my children with my sister. So not only did I lose my niece and then my son, this January, my other nephew was gunned down and killed. And I just believe that we both needed space. Like it's a lot. Every time I feel like I'm getting somewhere with my grief, another situation comes up and it kind of pushes me back a little bit. And I kind of thrive on being a little alone in certain degrees. Like, I like it because even though we're apart, he's here a lot. You know what I'm saying? He's like, I could just make a call and he's here, but I also get a lot of time to honestly, while he's not here or when I'm here by myself, I'm reading, you know what I'm saying? Or watching shows that I just like to watch, or just literally re-energizing myself, whether it's, you know what I'm saying, working out or reading the Bible. Like, I've been reading my Bible a lot lately. Like, I just been doing a lot of stuff that I need to do to work on me. But I'm also
That's part of your replenishing
a true
glass.
component of your part. I truly believe that your partners don't make you happy. Happiness is an inside job. You got to be happy. Yes, your partner can do stuff to make you happy or give you a moment or a little bit of happiness, but to truly be happy, it's based on you and your thoughts and your self-worth. And I'm not gonna lie, losing so many people, let alone kids, or people that I consider my kids, not only my kid, but my niece and nephew. I keep being remiss. I keep getting upset with myself for saying kids because they were both adults, but they were like my kids. When you lose so many people, even though you think you know what's going on, like I talk to my sister a lot, and it's like I don't feel like myself a lot of days, and it's hard to navigate that space when I'm still somewhat of a traditionalist at heart. And that was kind of how we made the decision. It was, if we're still in the same space, we're going to be more concerned with taking care of each other than taking care of ourselves. And so we had to step away from each other so we could focus on us, because he's such a manly man that if he sees something is wrong with me, he's gonna try to fix it. If something is wrong with me, or if I think he's sad, I'm gonna try to make him better. And it was kind of like, we gotta focus on ourselves, or we gotta, like, kind of learn how to self-soothe, so to speak. And I will say I'm proud of myself, because the other day I was just having like a really bad day, and he called and was like, "Do you want me to come?" And I was like, "No, it's already late. You can stay at home." And he was like, "You sure? Because I could come." And I was like, "No, because at the end of the day, whether you come here or not, I'm still gonna be sad." You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, and I gotta learn how to work through this in real time without depending on somebody else. And that's big, especially because I have so much PTSD about losing people. Like, so I don't want, like I was talking to my therapist about, like, I have this fear that if I don't jump onto opportunities or do things right away, I feel like I'm never going to get the opportunity to, because what if my kid, what if I don't wake up tomorrow? You know what I'm saying? Like, I have PTSD of 3 sudden deaths back to back, that I have this like crazy thing going on with my nervous system. And I'm now like trying to not depend on other people, but still, like, not totally become a recluse, if that makes sense. So it's like I'm enjoying this living apart, because it's teaching me who I am after grief. Like, because I'm not the same person anymore. But a lot of that would have been hard to figure out dwelling in the same space with somebody.
Yeah, no, I think that's important, and I'm glad you shared that, because I know it's been a lot, and this kind of ties into like how we even know each other, like
Yeah.
how this friendship and sisterhood became a thing, which I feel like we should talk about in another episode,
Episode,
because
yes.
that's like a whole other story. But kudos to you for recognizing, the patterns in your relationship, and just how dependent we can become, especially in spaces of grief, because grief is just, people say it all the time, but like grief really is ghetto. It really is just something that's like you can't even describe to people, and you will really never know how it feels until you're in the thick of it. And I mean, like, navigating the loss of somebody, or even something. I mean, because people grieve different things, whether it's
Yeah.
a person or a loss of a relationship, a loss of a connection, anything. It's it's something, and it's so different every day. And I think that it's easy to become dependent on our partners, because they know us most of the time. They know us the best, in a
Yeah.
very intimate way. And you spend so much time with each other. And, when someone has your best interest at heart, of course they're going to want to make you, or do what they can to make you feel better. But at the same time, sometimes you can be so engulfed in that it becomes an issue of you neglecting yourself in a way. And so
Yeah.
I think it's really important that you brought that up, that people tend to think that, our partners are here to make us happy, but you have to do what you can to make yourself happy first,
Yeah.
and then you share that happiness with your partner. I really believe that. I never looked at somebody and said, "You're supposed to do this," or like, "You're supposed to be my happiness, be my all." Like, no. I'm responsible for my own happiness, and I decide if I share that with you. I mean, after all, we're just humans on our own separate trajectories. We decided to come together and to share a journey with each other. But can we really share the best parts of ourselves with one another if we are sweeping over the elephant in the room, and not making it a part to advocate for ourselves and say, something's wrong. I think we need to dial back. I think that we need to take some space to heal. And that's not necessarily saying that you're breaking up with that person, right? Yeah. Or you're saying like, we're going to end our relationship because this is just too much. But making it a point to say, how can we redirect things? How can we redirect the energy to see that we can best serve each other in this phase of our lives? Right? Because I think that's another part of relationships we should talk about at some point, is the fact that we are human beings that are constantly evolving. And it's this thought of like,
it changes.
Yeah, it's this thought of like, we know that change is inevitable and it's going to happen. But I think that so often we forget that, and we look at people and we're like, oh, we're going to get married, we're going to be together forever. Well, that might not necessarily be the case. It might not necessarily be the case. Or how do you navigate situations of grief? How do you navigate substantial change in your life and in your partner's life when it happens and you decided to be on this journey, this committed journey with them? Like, what happens? So I think that's something that we should definitely put a pin in for another day.
Yeah, for sure. Because I guarantee
it's so much that we could really like
when I think about so much of the stuff that I've dealt with, or like I've had to deal with my family since we started dating, it's been a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, so much so, like, if he was to be like, all right, this is a lot, I don't think I want to do this no more. Like, definitely would be hurt, but I would understand. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because like, I don't want to deal with this no more either. And it's my family. It's like,
you know what? I'm all right with that.
Like, and it's funny because I tell my sister this all the time. But when she called me or when I get a text message from her, I have a visceral reaction. Like, my body, like, just kind of locks up because every time, and I'm not trying to say, like, we don't talk outside of that, but it's like, since 2023, every time we get on this phone, it's something.
What happened?
It's always something traumatic. You know what I'm saying? Something very crazy. And so it's kind of like we just do this. Like, you good? We checking in. What you feeling? You feeling something? So, and I think that plays a part. We're gonna talk about that in the grief episode, because I think too, that's why I think I had to take that step back and put us in this kind of lat relationship, because also, I think even with the grief, even though I've had compounded grief versus him just having us lost our son, just that one loss. Because I've lost my nieces and my nephews, my sisters are going through this with me. You see what I'm saying? Like,
so you're helping them navigate,
and we're helping each other. He doesn't have that. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't have that same kind of support system I have. Like, my family get together and they want to like get up pictures of our son. They want to do balloon releases and do all of that stuff. But that's the kind of family that I'm just in. His family doesn't have that same dynamic. So I know that a lot of his grief is him trying to deal with it on his own. Right. You know what I'm saying? I can call my sister at 3:00 in the morning and cry and be like, girl, I'm going through this. And she can understand what I'm going through as a mom. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't have anybody that's a father that lost their child that he could talk to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My sister baby daddy ain't half the person.
Hard.
You know what I'm saying? My other sister baby daddy don't really know Mike like that. So it's hard for us to even, he doesn't have that connection of that group. You know what I'm saying? And I can say that I know that that's something that he needed. And maybe at this point, I'm seeing kind of how I may have gotten in the way of that, because we tried to go to a grief group once and I walked out. I was like, I can't take this. It's too much. I can't listen to other people's sad stories. Like, it freaked me out. But he really liked it. He wanted to go, and I kept saying, you could go back, buddy, but I'm not going with you.
Yeah. I mean, but even that is like making a decision that's best for you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Even though y'all are both going through the same thing at the same time, like you just said, you have this healthy support system and he doesn't have that. So it's like, well, maybe he should, maybe this is my way of getting the help that he needs is him thinking of with that perspective. But
Yeah.
again, we can save that for
Yeah, because we
another
definitely gotta have a
episode.
grief
About
episode
we have to have
because
a grief episode because it's been life has been really interesting the past couple years, and time flies. But I will share, willing to share my stories and my battles with grief in a later episode. So I want to jump into, before we wrap up, because we're almost at 2 hours. Can you believe we've been talking? But I think that this is good because this is a very healthy and robust way for us to kick off the first episode.
and it's very indicative of like I think the flow of how this is just an organic show
We
that just
just,
flows.
but this how we be talking. Like, yeah,
Because
you're
we
right. We
definitely
just talk
said
like
we wasn't
this.
gonna do a whole hour
We said we weren't
episode,
gonna
let
do an hour. We
alone
said we were gonna
two,
do just 30 minutes, 45 at most.
just to
But
get it
we have
started.
so much
Yeah.
to share with you all, and we are really excited to kick this off. This has been, again, a long time coming, and just thinking of different ways that we could make this happen and bring this into fruition. So we're really excited for what's in store, and just being able to share and, again, build a space to connect with other people that are like us, that are different from us, that can add to the conversation and add to our enlightenment, add to the enlightenment for your eardrums, because that's what the Soulful Stir is all about. Before you wrap up, I do want to ask, now that we're talking about this, like, what are you hoping to get out of this pod?
Um, I I don't know what I am trying to get. I think maybe, as always, just a better understanding of myself. Um, and I like to have healthy conversations. Like, I think I'll be really excited when we start to have guests because I want to have healthy conversations. I like when people kind of challenge me. You know what I'm saying? Like in a different thought. So I do want to be able to like use this to enlighten myself and just kind of open myself up a little more to learn new things and just to see things through different lenses and things of that nature. And then on the adverse, I would like for other people to just kind of see that like it's okay. You know what I'm saying? Like I think a lot of why I want to have these conversations, or if people have picked up on the theme of like a lot of not just my sentiments but yours too, is like it's okay. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like whatever you want to do, it's okay. Like I want people to feel comfortable with who they are, and if that takes me revealing parts of myself that makes them kind of like realize that, oh, I deal with that too and I didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes just
Yeah.
helping people realize that it's okay for me to feel this way. You know, like it's funny, not to go back to the grief because I know we're going to talk about it later, but like one of the things that my sister and I often do with each other is that we play this game like, am I crazy? Like literally we laugh and be like, am I crazy? And it'll go like, I thought this, like I had a dream about my kid and this happened, and she'd be like, am I crazy for feeling that way? I'd be like, no. Like, how can I tell you that you're wrong for letting grief, hit you a certain way? And I say that to say I want people to just know that they're not alone. Like, I don't think anybody walking this planet is the single sole person doing something. It's somebody out here somewhere that knows exactly what you're going through, has probably been through what you've been through, feeling what you're feeling. And they made it through. So I just want people to feel like this is a safe space to be seen and be heard, whether it is people writing in with confessions or needing advice, or people just tuning in to the podcast on a weekly basis, just to get a better understanding and like want to, get insightful tips about life for themselves as well.
Yeah, no, I can wholeheartedly side with everything that you said, and what I'm looking forward to as well. And I'm also looking to just continue to expand myself, on a personal level and professional level as well. I'm looking forward to this being another pillar of exploration for me, and another thing that I'm just passionate about. And I'm looking forward to being a resource for people, as you stated, and also being a mirror as well, and building community, because shout out to building community. That's really important right now. It's been a theme for me. I'm also looking forward to having fruitful, challenging conversations with people, and just being continuing to be open minded about learning, about growing in all ways. And I just learned a lot on this episode alone, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to continuing our connection and our relationship, even though our connection expands far beyond this podcast. I just think that this is a great way for us to continue to expand on it. And we're not kind of, but we are stepping into a new light as business partners and as pod pals, if you will. So I'm looking forward to that too. Any announcements before we get out of here?
Oh, you read my mind. I was about to say, what you got for the sanctuary scoop?
Yeah, let's talk about the sanctuary scoop.
So I don't have anything direct. I would just like to say, if you are not following us on socials just yet, please make sure you follow us at the Soulful Stir on all platforms. We are on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook.
We're not on Facebook.
So just Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok.
Are we on TikTok?
I don't know. I got the Twitter. You got the Instagram.
Oh, I'm not on TikTok. So I'm on TikTok.
So I lied. Auntie lied, y'all. We just on Twitter and Instagram right now.
We are on Twitter and Instagram. We have a website coming very, very soon. Follow us. Let's keep up with each other, and we'll keep you guys in a loop of what we have in store. I don't think I have anything else for the sanctuary scoop. I do want to encourage you once again, if you have any great stories or questions or advice, situations you want to share with us, you would like to share with us on air, we would love to get those in our inbox. So email us at thesoulfulstir@gmail.com. We're looking forward to getting that mail in and to having and continuing these healthy conversations with you guys.
And also, too, when you write in to give us these confessions and advice, try to be detailed and give us a little bit of information. You do not have to worry about, we're going to keep these confessions and advice letters and columns completely anonymous, so you don't have to worry about the anonymity. If you do name names for sake of continuity when you're writing your letter and or confession, we will either replace those names with dummy names or just completely bleep those out. So you don't have to worry about ever feeling found out or anything like that if you do write into us, unless you just give us too much detail and somebody else know your business. Now, we don't have nothing to do with that.
Yeah, that's not on us.
That ain't on us. But we are not here to, spill your tea, clock your tea for anybody else. We're here to just pretty much give you advice. And we do want to hear those crazy confessions too. So please write in and give us some good stuff to laugh about. We will read those on air. I don't have anything else. I just want confessions. I want to read this stuff.
Yeah, we want to get all the juicy
know
stuff, all the sexy stories.
Like, tell us y'all business. If you mad at your cousin, tell us her business. We ain't gonna tell her name though. You know what I'm saying? Like, give us something to read. Right. We want to get on here and talk about something.
We want to hear all of the tea.
Yeah.
And we're willing to share some tea with y'all too about us. Like, I think this is also just another way for us to, like we talked about early on, just be completely organic and share our own stories and our own experiences that make us just as human, But I think that's a wrap for today. This has been your first episode of the Soulful Stir podcast with Diamond Simone.
Yes. And your girl Tosh. Oh, we forgot to tell them. I mean, just be ready every Sunday when we drop an episode. Because this is the first episode, so we didn't give y'all no schedule. But, we are here every Sunday.
Oh, we're also going to be on YouTube. So we will be audible for now on YouTube. But look forward to, our videos coming at you. Also at the Soulful Stir podcast. This has been our first episode, Cultivating Talk for Discerning Ears.
Enlightenment for your eardrums.
Yeah, until next time.
Till next time.